see you, Diggs. Appreciate you. What's up with your family? I see you, Diggs. Appreciate you. What's up with your family? I see you, Diggs. Appreciate you. What's up with your family? I see you, Diggs. Appreciate you. What's up with your family? All right, family. Glad to be back with you this week. I know we got Thanksgiving this week, so if you celebrate, happy early Thanksgiving. Definitely, if you're not going to be with us on book club, I haven't even decided if I was going to do book club this week, but we will figure that out. I am happy to really be with you all. You know, we are on the sacral. I brought my wave drums today because I felt like I wanted to hear a little bit of wave sounds, and so we definitely gonna do our sacral. Oh shoot, hold on. I gotta make sure the sound is okay because I don't want us to be out here sounding crazy too. YouTube the one to give us family, give us an issue sometimes. Oh no. So, I'm kind of excited about tonight's show because I feel like this is just an honest conversation with you all because you know transparency and vulnerability is important on our healing journey. But you know, I've talked about how I really want to do this show. You know what I mean? And I've been going back and forth where it's been a little more like school and, you know, outside of the energy reading. The energy readings are the energy readings and that's how they go. So outside of that, like how do I present this information? And we've been going with presentations. I've been trying to put them in all types of different orders. But with tonight's show, I feel like this is probably, it is definitely one step closer to how I envision presenting the show to the family, right? And tonight's show will kind of encompass a lot of the skills that we've been practicing over the last year. up to even the last couple of months with our visualizations. But I've always been a great storyteller. I could tell you a very traumatic story, and it will sound hilarious to you. It will be one of the funniest stories you've ever heard. I can tell you a story that'll make you cry. A very, very good storyteller. So tonight, when we discuss the power of repetition, we will discuss it, and we will include our visualizations. We will include the art of storytelling so we can communicate. We will include a couple of things. Jay, I see you. Appreciate you, brother. As always. Yeah, y'all brothers be helping me out in ways I can't always describe. But tonight's show is going to incorporate a lot of things. So I want to see how it goes, how it presents itself. But that is the intro. Again, we're going to be talking about repetition, specifically the power of repetition and how we can use it to cultivate our mind's garden, right? So we are on sacral. You can't tell when we start doing the show, the lighting will be very orange. Funny as it is, the light that I use in front, it doesn't have orange. So it has every other color. It has like 3 different greens, but no orange, right? No orange at all. So you can't tell. But when we switch, because we're trying to incorporate the color therapy, it will be a lot more orange. And the element for your sacral is water. And your sacral resides right there in your bladder area and incorporates your privates. It's your sexuality. You get emotions from there. Some people make their emotions based on that. Make their decisions based on the emotions produced in that area. It's your pleasure, it's your creativity, and it is your relationships, right? So, I've been doing 4-7-8. So I think that's the breathing exercise we're going to do tonight. But we'll start with the bowls. And during book club, we use the rain stick, but tonight I got the wave drums for the family instead of the rain stick. So sit back and enjoy. And I really do think it definitely gives you wave sound. So relax and enjoy. To me, I can never get the wave sound with just one. I gotta use the whole stack. Forgive me, fam. I almost got lost in the wave sound and watching the beads roll. Can be somewhat entrancing. You feel me? So the breathing exercise we're gonna do tonight. I appreciate you, cat. It definitely does sound like ocean waves. Um, so if you don't know, the breathing exercise we're gonna do tonight is 4-7-9. We're gonna do 3 rotations of 4-7-9. And that is you breathe in for 4 seconds. You hold your breath for 7 seconds. And you breathe out for 8 seconds. Very good. Anxiety relieving. Help for relaxation. Help to get to sleep. Feel like I was sounding a little. All right, so on my count of 3, breathe in 4, hold 7, breathe out 8. 1, 2, 3, breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold for 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, out for 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One more time on 3. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in. 4, 2, 3, 4. Breathe, hold for 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Breathe out for excuse me, breathe out for 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Last time on 3. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in for 4, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out for 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if you're in a comfortable position, you have your eyes closed, or do it in some way that allows you to be able to Visualize, picture these things in your mind's eye. So, one of the common themes that will go on through the night will be this idea of gardening to address repetition. And what I want you to first do is, and I want you to really practice this at times when you're alone, when you're on the show with us. But I want you to picture yourself. You're looking at yourself. And imagine you're looking at yourself from the side. And you're watching yourself as it looks out. And you get closer. And as you get closer, you can look down into the top of your head. And as you look down, you see a garden. And I want you to visualize any type of garden. A garden will be a place where groups of plants grow, thrive, and live in synchronicity. Your garden can be a backyard garden. Your garden can be a jungle. Your garden can be at the oasis in the middle of the desert. But I want you to visualize plants growing and life happening in your mind's garden. You see weeds. You see new life. You see the remnants of plants once past. And you, as you watch, must water these plants. And I want you to visualize what type of watering you will do for your plants. Will you become the rain and douse the soil with life from the heavens? Will you need machinery as you are producing enough crops to feed a nation? Will you just need a shovel and gloves because you want to beautify the place in the heaven you reside? And as those waters fall down, whether you are a rain cloud, a water pail, or anything, I want each drop to provide nourishment for your thoughts, your ideas, your love, your creativity, your intuition, your passions, your sensuality, your creativity. And as you are raining, I want you to repeat after me. I am a creative being. I deserve to enjoy life. I am emotionally balanced. I welcome sensuality into my life. worthy and lovable. I am a creative being. I deserve to enjoy life. I am emotionally balanced. I welcome sensuality into my life. I am worthy and lovable. All right, family, take a breath as we go ahead and get this show started. I really do like the additions of the visualizations. Family, we've came a long, long way from that first show, the quit everything. So I thank you. I appreciate your support. I appreciate you really taking this journey with me. We can do it together as a family of choice. So it's funny. I remember, and I think we've even talked about it on this show. There was this time I remember I was having a conversation with my mom. This idea is going to center around, excuse me, woo, man, there's some emotion that got to get out, and it does not care. Rose-colored glasses, or the idea of magic glasses. But I was having a conversation with my mom, and I was just kind of telling her my perspective on things and how I view things. And I remember her just kind of sitting there and listening to me. And when I took that pause, that breath, she looked at me and said, "Son, you see the world with rose-colored glasses." And when she said it, it was kind of offensive. And because this idea of rose-colored glasses, and it's funny because in men's group last night, we discussed how even in the fear factor, they pointed us out. They pointed out what we needed to pay attention to. We just had the responsibility to flip the coin over and see the other side, what they didn't tell us. Right. So my mom says this to me, and I'm kind of standing there like, I don't agree. I just don't agree because I've lived a lot of different lives in this one timeline. And one thing that I am not is naive to how people are or how I'm not naive to the way the world works. So hearing someone say that I view the world through rose-colored glasses kind of stuck with me. And in that point, even though it low-key offended me, not in an offensive way where you feel like you got to reply, but just kind of stuck with me. And that was probably about, it was probably about 3 to 4 years ago. And she said this. And last night we were in men's group meeting. And a guy joined the men's group. And we were talking about recognizing the signs and being aware of the signs and all of these things, right? And I asked the question that I'm going to ask the family a little bit later. But in response to the question that I asked, this guy put in the chat, Dick Gregory spoke on it, and he called it rose-colored glasses. And he said that once you put them on, I looked it up, and Dick Gregory said, the tough part is being one of the chosen. Because once you get those glasses and you put them on, you no longer see things the way they're supposed to be. You see things for how they are. And once you put them on, you can't ever take them off. And you can't give them to anyone else. Right? And when I read some of that, I had to look it up to get the full meaning of it. And that context hit me like a ton of bricks. It almost brought tears fully to my eyes because how true that statement is. And over the last couple of weeks, we kind of talked about, even last week, we really talked about this idea of where do I start, right? And the funny thing was, I've even said it to you all, I ain't even know how to answer that question because of the many different times I've started, right? But I posed it to my brothers, and one of the brothers gave us some sage knowledge, and I'm going to pass it on to you all. This brother said that when you ask that question, where to start, you have already begun. So if you have asked the question of where to start, if you are on this journey with us of healing, my friend, welcome to wearing glasses. You will not be able to see things as they're supposed to be. You will only see things as they are. You cannot take them off. You can no longer live blind. And you cannot force anybody else to wear them, right? So, thanks for being here, family. I'm glad we started. You've been chosen. I laughed at that idea because I think about the amount of people that I am that Nat in the voice. I was laughing today because you know how they say, you know, the voice of God just shows up in the back of your mind, right? And I was laughing to myself because the amount of people that in those moments, the voice of God is my voice. They hear something I said to them. Because once they heard it, they couldn't unhear it. So once you are chosen, once you start asking where to start, you started. And right here, we're going to develop our tools and our skills and our abilities to be able to navigate this healing so that we can live at our best version of ourselves, right? So we're going to talk about repetition. And I want to set it up with some sort of context. So as we've been like practicing our visualizations, I want you to imagine yourself as this gardener. This idea of a garden was showing up repeatedly in my life during the last week. So I feel like that is a sign, right? So imagine yourself as a gardener. And within the context of this garden, I'm going to tell you a parable that probably can describe repetition, the power of repetition, better than I can ever put into words. So there was this farmer. We'll call him Anthony. It was this farmer Anthony, and he was known for his lush crops and his bountiful harvest. He's always got more than enough, and his crops were always healthy. And his secret to the crop wasn't the seed that he used. It was not the seed that he used or the tools that he used. It was his routine or his repeated act, his repetition. Every morning, Anthony would do the same thing. He'd tend to his fields by walking through his fields, removing the weeds, and speaking encouraging words to his plants. Grow strong, grow tall. And he would do this every single day. So one year, a drought came. And in this drought, most of the farmers saw their crops wither and die. But Anthony's crops, they still were green and thriving. So the other farmers got a little curious on how this was possible, right? And they asked Anthony, how are your crops still flourishing? And Anthony told them, it is the power of repetition. Every day, I tend to my fields with the same attention that the plants have grown accustomed to my routine and have built resilience within it. Just like water carves its path, the repeated actions strengthen the crops. It was the repetition that strengthened the crops for them. So after hearing this, these farmers go out And they do the same thing. And over time, their fields began to flourish as well. And what we learn from this is the power of repetition doesn't just reside in the action itself. It is also the dedication to those actions. And when we have healthy, repetitive routines in our lives, there are no obstacles that we cannot overcome, right? So that's the context. We gardeners tending to our mind as the garden, and we are going to use repetition to make sure our mind flourishes and thrives, not survives, but thrives. Right. Oh, forgive me, I'm thirsty tonight. Oh man. You know, I'm trying to monitor everything, have my notes. I try to see the comments, and I don't have the camera. I mean, you know, I got cameras all over the place. It looked like a little studio in here. But I need to get another monitor. I just hadn't figured out how I'm going to do this setup so I won't always have to do what you see right now, me looking off camera. Ooh, God, excuse me. All right. So, as we see ourselves as gardeners, tending to the garden will be the overarching idea. And everything that we do beyond that is in support of making sure our mind flourishes and thrives. And it's funny, I got another thing, man. My man was on fire last night because he was giving me answers on various ways to be able to say things that have been on my heart. So ironically, I've been thinking about this idea as it relates to abundance and tying it into our mind's eye. And it's funny because this thought or idea that I had kind of stemmed from the realm of dating. It came from, I told y'all a couple of months ago I was gonna try to take dating serious. I did. I got some data and now I gotta process that data. But this idea came from dating. I have been thinking about, I'm not in a space. I'm one of those people that think trust, love, all that stuff should be given freely. The majority of the people ain't trying to take advantage of you. Majority of life is not trying to take advantage of you. That's that survival mindset that is not necessary for thriving. So in thriving, I understand that the majority of people are not trying to take advantage of me. So I give certain things freely. Now, actions can have consequences, and you can lose some of these things, but I'm not going to put you in a position to have to work for things that your life resume already showed me. The life you live shows me your decision if you trustworthy. You know what I mean? life you live shows me if you worthy of love, how you respond, the work you've done for yourself, all of those things. Like I'll look at your resume and ask you about your resume, but I'm not gonna make you be in this position to prove that you are worthy of these things from me, because you are worthy, right? And the idea of thinking about just disproving myself or proving the worthiness is funny, because as I thought about it a little bit more, I kind of like came to some sort of realization that, and I've said this to people this week, yo, really? Life doesn't owe you anything. It has no obligation to prove you wrong. And so many of us are approaching life like, I need you to prove me wrong. Show me that you're worthy. Show me that it's safe. And the funny thing about life is it is more likely to prove you right than it is to prove you wrong. So what's growing in your garden? The thoughts, the plants, the ideas, the growth, the weeds, the trauma, whatever is growing in your garden will show in abundance, because life has a tendency to prove you right. So if you are carrying negative ideas, if you are moving in a space of fear, you know what life is going to do? Give you experiences to confirm that. It is your responsibility to make sure that life is confirming you in healthy ways, right? Because like my man said, whatever is planted will be in abundance. Did I ask y'all that? Yeah, you know what? I also asked, I thought about it because I ain't asked the family this question. But last night, man, I've been struggling with this idea for a couple of weeks. So I brought it to the brothers last night, and they really helped me come to some sort of clarity with a response that can give me somewhat comfort. So the question I've been asking myself is, how we talk about these signs, we talk about these omens, and me recognizing them has become so natural that I even pointed out in other people's lives on how they need to pay attention to it. So my question was, how do I teach this awareness of signs and symbols? We even talked about symbols as a way to reprogram your mind. But how do I teach this awareness of symbols? And it was funny in the sense that it was ironic that the best way to teach people to recognize the signs and the symbols is to teach people to know themselves. So on this healing process, we reconnecting, we relearning, we recultivating, we doing all those things. And in that, we are creating an awareness of the signs and symbols. And the reason why in building your awareness of the signs and symbols is important to know thyself is because the power that the signs and symbols only have it because you give it that power. If you're walking down the street and you see a red cardinal fly by your path and you blow 3 kisses, the only reason why that's a sign is because you give it that power. There are a bunch of people in this world who will just see that as a bird crossing their path. Or even when I talk to you all about this thing with meat and palmetto bugs, and I looked up the spiritual meaning of palmetto bugs and how it's supposed to mean abundance, right? But the only reason me seeing them has any symbolism or symbolic power is because it's the power I give it. I believe it to have power, so it has power, right? So that's how you also can know that the answers do reside within you. But we got to make sure our garden is flourishing and thriving, right? So one of the questions you're going to have to ask yourself is, what signs will I empower, right? So in knowing thyself, one of the questions we want to ask is, what type of gardener do you want to be? Right. So, and in deciding what type of gardener, you have to look at yourself and really be honest about how you make decisions in your life. And it's funny because as much as people say you're supposed to be logical or you use your heart, there are many other ways that we can make decisions. Some people use their intuition to guide them. Some people use their feet, their root chakra to guide them. Some people make many decisions off the emotions that their genital give them. So there are many ways that we make decisions. So first, you have to be honest about how you make decisions in your life. And for me, it's funny because I always like to say, I make, oh my God, see, it's going crazy now. I make a lot of decisions through my gut. And the gut-based decisions are a mix between intuition for me, how it winds up manifesting or how it winds up showing itself is like a mix between intuition and sheer emotion, and then sprinkle with some logic. And sometimes it doesn't always look logical to other people, but it is the honest way that I make my decisions. I'm an emotional decision maker. And as logical as I am, I still will use emotions to guide my decisions. And you remember how we talked about those glasses? You no longer see things for how they're supposed to be. You see them for what they are. I say that to you because me making decisions off emotions isn't a good or bad thing. We give it the power of good or bad. It is just a way I make decisions, right? And after I recognize how I make decisions, I know I'll be an emotional gardener, gut based decisions. So some things that I may do, I may not even always fully have the destination materialized in my mind. I just know that this is the way that I'm supposed to go. And I used to say to my staff and I say to the family, sometimes the clarity comes from actually doing the work. So I'm an emotional gardener. And then I had to ask myself the question of what sort of garden hold on, I'll tell you in just a second. But what sort of garden am I? Oh, Jesus Christ. What sort of garden is my mind? Um, this watch, yo, honestly, it's crazy. I appreciate it. I love watches. I got a bunch. This is a interesting little watch. It's called a Lucien Picard, and they used to be somebody, but I don't know. Just be smart because they be out here overpricing these watches. Like for example, I probably paid like $100 for it, right? But I went to a jewelry store, wound up seeing this watch. These fools charging $300 for a watch. I paid $100 for it, so don't fall for that trick. But what I love about the watch is it's one of those skeleton watches. My energy's so high, so I kill watch batteries. I just kill them, period. So it's one, I don't know if you can see, but you can see through it. But it's one I got to shake up. So kinetic, whatever you want, and you can see through it. But I love this watch. It probably is my favorite watch of all. And then I got this blue watch that I love, but take batteries. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Yeah, yeah, it's when I'm trying to be look slightly classy, I put that on, but I appreciate you. So when I started asking myself this question about the garden, I was like, I even posed it in the men's group where we talked about how has the garden changed over time. And it was funny because one brother was telling a story and he was saying in his garden he had a lot going on. And I thought about that. That gave me the perfect visualization of how my garden was. I can, but not right now. If you got a little time when I get close to the end, I might go grab a couple more of what I got going on. Yeah. So I'll do it at the end a little bit. So the visualization that came to my mind, and I've talked about the many different lives that I've lived. Um, in this timeline, my garden was a jungle. And I didn't mind that because the jungle is a very strong and functioning ecosystem. And occasionally I just come through with my machete and chop away some of the stuff. But I really just let it do what it do. And now, as I think about it, I don't really want a jungle garden anymore. I want something that's a little more stable, a little less out of control, something that I can spend time nourishing and making sure the seeds that I do plant flourish and thrive. Somewhat like a mix between a farmer and a gardener. I don't want big machinery, but I do want enough space to grow food for thought, flowers for beauty. I even want, give me a couple of those little shop of horrors, Venus flytraps, jug plant, pitcher plants. I want them to make sure they help do some of the cleaning, right? And as crazy as it is, when we thinking about the plants, we got to think about the weeds as well. And we think about this in the context of what signs will we empower that show us that our mind is flourishing and thriving? What will we empower? And it's funny because I said that. I said weeds because even weeds have a dual purpose in your life or in the garden of your mind. Those things that are sometimes our traumas that are meant to strangle the life out of the plants show that the soil is fertile for growth, and it also shows our need to cut back, right? And I say this because one weed that I love and will always be in my garden are dandelions. Dandelions are essentially weeds. But since I was a kid, I've always had this weird connection to dandelions. And then the idea that their life cycle takes them from that flower to these seeds that we used to blow on all the time as kids and make wishes on them. I still to this day will see a dandelion seed floating past me. I still to this day, because it is a symbol that I have empowered, will catch that seed, make a wish, and blow it back off. So I love the beauty and dandelions reflect that survival, that resilience, and serve as a symbol to share your testimony with others. Do you realize how many wishes dandelions pick up on their journey? How many testimonies that they get? So in my mind's garden, dandelions will always symbolize the beauty of my trauma and my testimony of resilience. So I love that. So you think about what type of things will you empower? What signs? What symbols? And it's crazy. So when I was thinking about symbols of growth, I wasn't even, hey Kelly, so glad to have you. See, same, and it's funny. I'm talking about dandelions, and your name show up yellow to me too. Glad to have you here. You see our friend out there going on dates and stuff. I told her about that, trying to be grown. Talking about she done met some man that remind her of me. I said I got to meet this man. Don't tell I said that. I know she ain't on the show, but I got to meet this man. If he reminds you of me, I got to meet him. You know what I mean? Let me see if he really got his mind right. But it was funny because when it's funny, we get caught up in this life of crazy tending to the garden that sometimes we don't even. It is okay to pause and smell the flowers, enjoy the fruits of your labor, and you don't just have to wait to harvest season, right? And for me, whenever I get in a space that I forget that, life has a way of showing back up and putting me in a space where I have to think about these things. So it's crazy. So this week we've been doing, this week for the next couple of weeks, we're doing self-evaluations, evaluations on peer evaluations and evaluations on ourselves, right? And this is one of the first times ever in my life that I've done a job evaluation. And I looked at what I said I was going to do and compared it to what I've actually done. Because for the first time, they made it easy. They just put your old answers like right there. I'm like, oh man, it's crazy. And it was amazing for me to see how much growth I have actually made within 1 year. Right? See, because it's kind of like this idea of that has been showing up a lot too, but realistic timelines. We get so engulfed in the doing the work, trying to heal, trying to clean our garden, take away the weeds, decide what's good symbols, making sure we got positive suggestions, whatever we feed in our garden, all types of things. We get lost in those things. But it is okay to stop and smell the flowers. So it was crazy for me to like look that I said I was going to. We got this thing that's called our monthly travel plan. So I got to make travel plans at least 30 days in advance. And when I used to first do that thing, man, listen to me when I tell you, me and my supervisor that have meetings every week, every time that thing was due. She was meeting with me all the time. She was getting on my nerves. I was getting on her nerves. I remember that last meeting. I said, look here, you don't got to worry about me getting this because I'm going to get this. Because you're not going to keep getting on my nerves about no monthly travel plan. It is so funny because I do speak with that level of genuineness that isn't necessarily offensive because she laughed. She knew, I know, because I knew the feeling was mutual. I know I was wrecking her nerves. And I know she needed to know that I took it serious enough that it would not be a continuous problem. So it was just amazing to even look at the idea of me saying that I was going to do better on that. And in 1 year, I've done tremendous better on that. And a sign that I had done better on that was I do not have to meet with her all the time now. And that feels good. So, but I got some work I need to do before she be trying to meet me again. I don't got time to be talking to that woman. I like my manager though. She's not bad at all. So, and I understand because I no longer am responsible to lead people in that fashion. So I can empathize and sympathize with her. Right. As we think about what are going to be our signs, I know I went over a little bit, but I don't even care today. Our signs of need for growth, that we need to do some more weeding, right? And life has presented this opportunity for me on where I can do some more weeding, right? Because I told y'all that I was going to take dating a little serious. Like, listen, we cannot be sharpening these tools, working on these skills, and then not take opportunities to exercise them. Because outside of that, if we don't, it's just theoretical. I just told this girl, I just came to this realization. I had to tell this woman who reached out to me that I hear this idea that I'll be a good father, a good husband, a good all these things. And I'll never forget I dated this one girl. And one of the reasons when we were breaking up, she said one of the reasons why she wouldn't choose me was because I'm not a family man. And that was crazy. The craziest thing I have ever heard. Because I really have cultivated my life to be somewhat of a good man, whatever that is. And that idea of good man for me includes family man, right? I even, listen, if your kids was ever in my class or in my care, I definitely was practicing on them so that when my kids get it, it'll be a little bit better. I've learned what really doesn't work, what does work. I've learned gentle. I've learned what discipline actually looks like because of structure and routine and not beatings. You know what I mean? So I did all those things, right? And then that girl says to me, I'm not a family man. And this was probably, oh my God, it was like 12 years ago. And probably 2 years ago, I understood she was saying. And for me to be such a scientist, it was amazing that I couldn't understand what she was saying before. But even though I've done all that work, essentially, I'm not a family man. Because to be a family man, you have to have a family. Outside of that, it's just theoretical. So we cannot be doing all of this work on theory on healing ourselves and not taking these skills and putting them into practice to see if it actually helps, right? So I took dating a little bit serious, and life had given me opportunities, and it was crazy, right? Because I reconnected with someone, and it gave me like some new things that I really need to think about as I go forward in dating. And one thing that I realized that a lot of people are approaching dating with this take me as I am sort of attitude, or wanting to be chosen as who they are. And in theory, not practice, in theory, that makes sense. Theoretically, you want somebody to accept you for who you are. But then when I ask, are you living as the best version of yourself? And you say no, then you're not wanting somebody to accept you for who you are. You're wanting somebody to accept you for being less than who you are. Right? So I've learned that there are ways that I need to also make sure that I'm putting my best foot forward in dating, so that I'm giving people a choice of the best version of me. Right? And then it was crazy because I had a dream, and I talked about it a little bit on the show. There were parts of the dream that I kind of left in myself, right? And one part of the dream is when I was dreaming about these group of women that got together to try to help me get married. And I had a friend that called me and was telling me about a girl that would be perfect, right? And that happened in real life. A friend thought of me to connect me with somebody that she thought was nice. And I agree, the person is nice. Somebody that she thought would be worthy of a chance. And she was. And I learned a lesson. So, one, I learned in that interaction. What I said to you earlier, I'm not in a space to be trying to prove my worthiness to anyone. If the life I live is not proof enough, I have nothing else for you. That simple. But what kind of stuck with me is I asked this question, and I say this, the questions can be simple, but the answers can be so complex. And I asked this woman, what makes you ready now? What makes you prepared now? And she gave me a very simple answer. I'm just kind of ready to settle down. And that kind of stuck with me because in that interaction, I've learned that something that's important to me is connecting with somebody who sees a lifetime commitment as more valuable than just ready to settle down. I would like to know that a person is putting in the work to be their best self, how they value the family structure, a bunch of different things. And then it was a third opportunity, and it was crazy because I was just having a very normal conversation. And in talking to this person, they were telling me a story, and they said, we, we. And I asked, who is we? And that wound up being one of the most difficult exchanges I've had in the last year. It was so hard just to find out we. They kept giving me answers that was not we, that never explained. And I kept asking. And wow, that hit me. I learned that I want interactions that have somewhat that's ease. We are making dating and interactions way too complex. And I would like something that comes with ease. So when I put all these things into a bag and a box, and I look at them and I turn that mirror on myself, because the only commonality between these three examples is me. So what is my sign of growth? That I'm still in a space of picking difficult. So that shows that I need to go back to my mind's garden and do some weeding. There are still some thoughts. There are still some ideas. There are still some ways that growth needs to happen, where I not only attract, because we attract everything, but I take the responsibility of choosing correctly, right? And that is essentially today's show. So I want you to really take some time and think about what type of gardener are you? What type of garden will you tend to? What are signs that this garden is flourishing and thriving? And what are signs that you need to do a little weeding, right? And once you figure those out, make sure you empower those signs so that when you see them, they deliver you the message that you need to receive. So, family, that's pretty much it. I think I got a couple of watches. I'm just gonna, somebody asked, I don't know, what's that, Calburnt? Yeah, I don't know if you're still there, but I'll go grab a couple of watches. I think I'll show you a little something, and I'll be right back. T Glizzy. Appreciate the new follow. Give me a second, family. What I got? All right. So I only grabbed probably like four of them because they need new batteries, most of them. And but I probably have about 15. I ain't even grabbed some of my favorites. As crazy as it is, um, watches that have been good to me have been guest watches. Literally, it's been crazy. One brand that I really, as funny as it is, I've bought a couple of them, and that's why I don't like them. But Fossil, I don't really like Fossil, but this is one of my guest watches. I love it. I was like, man, this was like my first time paying over $100 for some watches, so I was crunk about that. I used to wear that thing to work every day. I told you I got this blue watch. This is another guest watch, I think. Yeah, another guest watch. I got that as a gift. I love that watch too. This is. I thought this was a Fossil, but it's an Invicta. Surprisingly, well, not surprisingly, but I like the orange band and the world face, and then this is a Fossil. It's dead in the doorknob because it definitely needs another battery. But that's a couple of them. So I tried to be a man of my word. Make sure you got to see a couple of my watches. But like I said, I got a rack of watches. I got a rack of watches, and it's funny. As many watches as I got, I don't wear them as much. I just be wearing that. I got darn Samsung watch all the time. But family, I appreciate you joining me again this week. I don't know if we're gonna do book club Thursday, but I don't know. We figure it out. If we don't, happy Thanksgiving. If that's something you celebrate, I hope that you enjoy the time with your family. I actually am making. I gotta start making me some sweet potato pies because everybody loved the boy pie. Surprise, surprise. Everyone loves my pie for real, for real. But if I don't see you Thursday, we'll see you next Tuesday. And I don't know what we'll be talking about. Probably, I don't know. I think we need to have some more conversations on tending the garden. Write that down. Oh crap! Wait a minute. Scratch. We won't be on next Tuesday. Next Tuesday, I got to travel for work. Yeah. Yes. We might try to pull out book club, but I'm on the road, so you know how that go. I will be out of state I get to go see a place that I kind of want to visit as kids. So we won't have any shows next week. But I'll make a post or something. I'll do some videos, give you a recap of where I went. But when we continue back, we'll wind up picking up where we left off, and it'll probably be something more with tending to the garden. So I hope you have a great time with your family this week. I hope you have a great remainder of the week. And I wish you tons of blessings and gratitude, family. Peace.